Iowa's News Now Sports has your all-access pass to all things Hawkeyes. This is Eye on the Hawks, sponsored by University of Iowa Healthcare.
All right, welcome into a slightly more melancholy edition of Eye on the Hawks than what we've been used to over the last couple months. Owen Sebring and Mike Howell with you as we have just finished wrapping up the national championship game within the last couple hours. Iowa, of course, losing this one 87-75 to the 38-0 undefeated South Carolina Gamecocks. The Hawkeyes, national runners-up 2 years in a row. They finish their season playing the maximum, playing all that they can, but just one win short of bringing home the first national trophy for a basketball program in the state of Iowa in our great state's history. Linda Grimm says, great season, ladies. I'm not sure if she's talking to us, but more likely the Hawkeyes. Regardless, thank you, and feel free to go ahead and sound off with your comments in the side chat, and we can respond as we go along here. But Mike, any initial thoughts? I think the main thing that everybody saw, probably great first quarter, and then the physicality of South Carolina took over.
Yeah, not just the physicality, but the height too. I mean, you could tell it was just they got out rebounded so like much, especially on the offensive end. They were having 3-4 chances at a shot, and that's just it's not a turnover, but it's kind of similar to one where it's a lost possession for Iowa and another gained possession for South Carolina. Their bench outscored Iowa 37-0. I mean, obviously Iowa doesn't, their bench doesn't contribute that much in when they play the upper echelon of teams like they have in the past 3 games.
Yeah.
But at the same time, to get 0 points from, I think they only played 2 players outside of, they put Molly D in the end, but
right.
They played Kylie and Addie, and they scored 0. I feel like Addie got blocked 2 or 3 times.
Yep.
Trying to shoot against Cardoso, and it's just like, she's 6'7", what are you supposed to do? And Lisa Bluter at the beginning of the game, when they interviewed her on court, this is on the broadcast, so you probably didn't hear it, Holly Rowe asked, what do you have to do to win? And she's like, hit her open shots. They had to play a perfect game from shooting to win this game, just because they were going to get out rebounded. I think every player said, we knew we were going to get out rebounded, just we had to limit, the rebounds on their end. They just didn't do that. So that's just kind of, I think, the big takeaway.
Yep. Yeah, and I was looking back at last year's championship game box score. The bench points weren't quite as wide as they were this year, but even last year, the bench points for Iowa, when they lost to LSU was something like 31-6 or something of that nature. So the bench points or lack thereof for the Hawkeyes continue to kind of come and bite them. Lisa Bluter has said all season this is one of her deepest teams that she's had. And while that may be true, and there are some good players coming off the bench for the Hawkeyes, they don't have the caliber of players coming off the bench that can compete with a South Carolina in the national championship game. They might, when you have a Kylie or an Addie or a Taylor McCabe, they can compete maybe for a Big Ten title, maybe in a Sweet 16 game, maybe in an Elite 8 game, but that's just not a bench that's going to help you win a national title when they score you 0 points.
Yeah, when you look at the box score, you have the Tessa Johnson scores 19. She's South Carolina's leading scorer on the day, and she came off the bench and scored 19. She could probably start for a majority of teams in the country. And then Malaysia Fuweli, she had 9 points. Yeah, and was a major impact in, I believe, the middle part of the game when she hit a couple big shots. It's just like the depth and the talent of the depth really set up. You could see that they were 2 completely different teams. When Kylie came in, you wanted a spark, but at the same time, she can play erratically sometimes. So, I think she, ran down and tried to shoot a layup on Cardoso, which is never a good thing.
Yeah.
And Iowa could never build a presence, especially with Hannah, because she was giving up 5 inches on Cardoso, and everything would just get blocked. It's a true rim protector, and it's just a really good team they lost to, though. So I feel like you shouldn't be too negative about this team. At the same time, the only thing, if you're doing devil's advocate when you're looking at it, it's like, and it didn't impact them for most of the season, but it's like, man, if you really wouldn't got a big who was bbigger than the girls that they had in the transfer portal. I know it was a talking point before the season, and it really wasn't the entire season because they went 34-4 or 35 4 and 5 now, but that could have been a difference, and it could potentially be the difference of a national title and a runner-up.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, I was a little disappointed not to see a little bit more Hannah Stolke in there. I mean, they played a lot of minutes for Addie O'Grady. She played 13. Hannah Stolke only played 27. I think maybe they were hoping for a little bit of a repeat of that Elite 8 game against LSU, where Addie played pretty well against Angel Reese, but she just did not Camila Cardoso. I mean, 15 points and 17 rebounds. I heard somebody the other day, I forget who it was, either Andrea Carter or Gul McKay on ESPN. One of those people was saying that, rebounding wins championships, and that's kind of what it is at the college game. And it's strange because it's so different than the professional game, both in the NBA and WNBA, where it's like you need, it's a positionless sport at the professional level. And the college game, boy, you really need a lot of size down low if you want a chance of winning a championship.
Yeah, and I think it's impressive the fact that Iowa got through some big teams like LSU. UConn was bigger, and to get through those games, it really shows the grittiness of this team. I mean, earlier in the Elite 8 game, Kate had the rebounds she got for being like 6'1" is amazing. So it's a bummer they couldn't win, but these teams, I mean, just to get here, it's really an impressive feat.
Yeah. So if I seem distracted, Dawn Staley is still down on the court. She's got the championship trophy, and she's kind of dancing around with it, and some of her assistants are throwing confetti around her. So they're still working on tearing things down here in Cleveland as they celebrate. What is this third title in 4 years?
The program's third overall, yeah. So is what the broadcast said.
Yeah, I mean, South Carolina, they're kind of the new dynasty, I feel like. Whatever UConn was for a long time, South Carolina's starting to build their way up to that point. I mean, Dawn Staley, she's just got a powerhouse with this program. I know, sorry, I forget, Mike, what were the first sound bites we were going to run, I think, just with the initial response to the reaction to this game?
Yeah, I'll set it up. It's Caitlin Clark and Kate Martin. And sorry, we only have a few sound bites today because I was producing a post-game show on our Fox channel, and Owen has to put some stuff for our 9 and 10. So if you want some more sound bites from different players, be sure to watch Iowa's News Now tonight, 9 and 10. But it's Kate Martin and first Caitlin Clark on just the loss in general and what they thought happened. I'll play it right now.
I think the biggest thing is, coming to this day, honestly, I'm just fortunate. Like, I know this is the end. To be able to have that, whether that's sad, whether that's happy, whether that's, whatever. I think, I knew this was the last time I was lacing them up to play for Iowa, and, being really content and have a lot of closure in that. But obviously we started out a little hot, but they're going to make a run. We were making some tough shots, and they're really good. There's only so much you can do. You got to give them credit. I mean, what Coach Staley's been able to do with that program, and those girls, a lot of them didn't get a ton of playing time last year. It's really incredible, and Cardoso's a threat inside. Like, there's only so much you can do at when Hannah's 6'1", guarding 6'7", and they killed us on the glass. And at that point you got to shoot basically perfect to win. But so much to be proud of, so much to hold our heads high about, and it stinks, but life goes on.
We left it all out on the court. We gave our best effort, but kudos to South Carolina. They're obviously a tremendous team. And we knew that coming into the game, that they were a tremendous team. I mean, they haven't lost a single game all year. Lost 3 in the last 3 years, so that's pretty amazing. And, we had a really hot start, but, when you're facing a great team like them, you can't really keep that up the entire game. So, they had a really good second half, and I don't know, I thought we were really resilient, and we stuck with it. We never gave up, so I'm really proud of our efforts.
Credit to the team. I mean, boy, Caitlin and Kate seemed, in a lot better spirits than maybe what I'd expect to see out of them. Caitlin seemed to really handle herself well at the podium and keep her head high and still keep a smile on her face in spite of coming up short again. It's just tough knowing that she really wanted to come to Iowa and wanted to win a championship here. And, for a team that had never been past the Elite 8 before she came here, I mean, that seemed almost laughable when she came to town. But she got them within a hair's breadth of putting them on the mountaintop.
Yeah, there was one soundbite I didn't include in the show, but I'll post it to social later. She mentioned, people laughed at her when she said she wanted to take Iowa to Final Four, and she had come to 2 in a row, and not only that, 2 championship games. So definitely something to be proud of overall.
Yeah. Whether the GOAT conversation persists or not, I mean, her career's over, and it's going to stand on the resume that it is. There's no more stats to be had for her. No more accomplishments that she can do at the University of Iowa. It's on to the WNBA right now, and whatever she's got next. But I don't know. Iowa now's got to find a way to recalibrate and move forward. We talked to Jane Jensen a little bit about that after the game, and she's like, there's no replacing somebody like Caitlin, but as far as the program goes, it's like you've got to try to rebuild now and see what you can do next year. You know, you just come to 2 straight Final Fours. How can you carry that forward and make sure that this is a team that remains on the national stage?
It'll be interesting moving forward. You know, you got a group of players coming back. Sydney, you assume Taylor McCabe slides into that starting role. Hannah is there, so those 3.
Kylie.
And Kylie, yeah, she'll probably start.
Yeah.
I'm looking on ESPN's recruiting list for next year. It looks like 4 stars are coming in.
Wow, really?
Yeah. If I'm the class of 2024, that's the next class, right?
Right.
Ava Hayden from Oregon, Aaliyah Guyton from Peoria, and she's the one that tore her ACL. Is that the right one, or is that a different player from Illinois?
I think that was her. Yes.
Okay. Tegan Malagini from Wisconsin, and then Taylor Stremlow also from Wisconsin. So they're all top 100 recruits.
Wow.
Pretty good. I think the highest one is that Oregon, 6'4" big, so we're getting a little bit of height.
Yep.
And she is ranked 40th in the country.
Yep.
So that's pretty good for Iowa. I mean, you're going to miss a lot from Caitlin, obviously. But looking forward, I think with Sydney stepping up, I think she can take another step next year. She'll be probably, would you imagine her being the leading scorer next year?
Sydney?
For Hannah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say I would project, I don't know. I guess at the moment I would project Hannah to be the leading scorer. I think she'll be a lot more of maybe kind of a Monica Sonano role where she's going to be just like they're going to feed her, I think, all game. But Sydney will probably be up there. I feel like both of them could average, 16, 17 points a game next season. I think, Kylie will have an expanded role. I could see her being, kind of a 7-8 points a game scorer. Somebody like Taylor, Jan mentioned her, that's like, boy, she's really talented and just didn't get the minutes that maybe she deserved. But she could come in and be somebody who kind of is like a Gabby Marshall, where she's, putting in, a few 3-pointers a game. Jane always says great things about this Ava Hayden coming from Oregon, that she could be somebody that this team could be excited about. So I think that, certainly another deep postseason run is not out of the question in the future, even as early as next year. It will look different, though. I mean, it's not going to be the Caitlin Clark show. It's going to be much more of a team-balanced effort, and maybe even with more post presence. If Ava Hayden is as good as the billing seems to project, and if Hannah Stolke is as good as if she continues her upward trajectory, and there's rumors about them getting somebody in the portal that's going to be a really good player. I can't project even who that is or what position it is, but if that happens to be a big player, then they could really be a formidable team pretty quickly next year.
Yeah, I think when you look at the team this year, and amazing that they made it this far, but when you look at it, they're always you're thinking, man, if they had a real rim protector or just a big post who could play the 5 and Hannah could shift over and get not the center guarding her, like that would really open things up. Yeah. At least for Hannah.
That's what's kind of been missing the last couple of years, that like, boy, this team can make deep runs and they can do a lot in the postseason, but when it comes right down to it, they need a post presence if they want a shot at winning a championship, which is a lofty goal. I mean, it's like, well, if they want to win a title, that's that's still asking a lot of a team. But nevertheless, if that's what is the standard right now for this program, that they are a team that wants to compete for national championships, that's what they need moving forward.
Yeah, Caitlin said it too. Like, I think one of the first questions she was asked, like, this is hard to do, to win a title. And when you look at the teams that have done it in the sport, women's basketball, it's usually teams like South Carolina who are stacked. Or UConn, who are stacked. You don't see generally, and no disrespect to Iowa's players, they're very good ball players too, with Kate and Gabby. But when you're looking at the height and just the, I don't want to say pedigree, but highly recruited players, when you get top 25, top 10 talent, it's different than veteran leaders who've been here a while, who are savvy and know how to play, but they just may be a little undersized. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's what's hard. I think that's what's hardest about when you do make a deep tournament run and then lose after making it so far. It's kind of like the same emotions I always felt when I was at UNI and the Panthers would make the tournament. And it's like the right number of things just have to come together exactly the right way for you to make, either if you're a mid-major, make it to the NCAA tournament, or if you're a Power 5 team, make it to the national championship game. And so when you don't win it all, when you fall short of winning it all, it's just like, oh, like we had all the right pieces of the formula came together and then just couldn't quite get there at the end. And that's what is so frustrating about when you have something like this happen, where a few things bounce a different way. That UConn game could be different. A few things bounce a different way. That West Virginia game could be different. But Iowa powered through and then just came up short in this one. Not much to be done about it other than just say South Carolina was a superior team, and Caitlin unfortunately falls short of her national championship hopes.
Yeah, and before we get on to this next soundbite, I wanted to just bring in this right here.
Yeah.
It's the all-tournament team for the NCAA tournament, and there's 2 Hawkeyes on there, 2 South Carolina Gamecocks and Paige Beckers. So Caitlin Clark, obviously, would be shocked if she wouldn't make it. Hannah Stolke on the list, which she deserves it. Camila Cardoso for South Carolina, and also Tessa Johnson, who came off the bench.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane that she makes all-tournament team and she doesn't even start on her own team.
I guess I don't know if we were supposed to be voting on this based on just the Final Four stats or previous tournament stuff, because I submitted my vote for it. I'm a little surprised Paige Beckers was on there, honestly. I mean, she scored 17 points in their Final Four game, but I feel like somebody from South Carolina, maybe could have been on there above her, whether that was, Raven Johnson or, I don't know, that they had somebody who had 20 rebounds or something like that in their last game. So there could have maybe been somebody else that was a little bit more deserving than her. My ballot, maybe I was a little biased towards Iowa, but my ballot was Cardoso. I think I voted for, who was it? I think I voted for Watkins, maybe. She had the big game in the last round. And then I voted for Caitlin, Hannah, and Kate Martin. I was like, boy, Kate really did have a nice last couple games. Not the highest score, but had a lot of rebounds in the Final Four game and had, I think, 16 points today. So regardless, still nice to see both Hannah and Caitlin on there. Yeah,
it really is. Hannah deserves it. She played amazing, and especially in that Final Four game against UConn. I was leading scorer there.
Yeah.
Really, really amazing what she's been able to do and develop this year. I had questions before the season, but she totally answered them, and I just love watching her play.
Yep. Yeah, she's going to be fun, and she's going to come back, and I feel like she really does have a chance to be a star next year. If this was the jump from freshman to sophomore Hannah, then we hope that, sophomore to junior Hannah is even more remarkable. And we should add for Hannah, boy, all of her free throw shooting woes really corrected themselves pretty well in the postseason. I mean, she really did turn things around at the line. I really went from almost needing to close my eyes when she went to the free throw line to being like, hey, this girl, she's going to make at least one of these. Can I see her? Yeah, today she was 3 of 5 against UConn, 5 of 7, 2 of 3 against LSU, 5 of 7 against Colorado, 6 of 9 against West Virginia. Not perfect, but compared to where she was at
last year, wasn't she? 48% from the line, something like that. I'm not even joking. I think it was that bad.
Yeah, she's had some really rough stretches of the line, both last year and this year. There have been some tough times to watch her at the free throw line.
Last few months, though, she's been, it's got to be close to 70, which is really good, that improvement.
Yeah, I give her a lot of credit.
Kudos to her.
Big Ten tournament, too. She was 6 for 6 in the quarters, 2 for 2 in the semis, and 3 of 5 in the finals. So, yeah, she really got that free throw shooting turned around.
And I want to get one more mention before we go to the next soundbite. Molly D getting on the floor. Gotta love that.
Yeah.
There was a heartbreaking video that floated around. I believe Chelsea Brown, our competitor, posted it before the UConn game where Lisa went up to her and gave her a hug, and she kind of started crying, I believe, or got emotional at least, that she kind of knew she wasn't going to play. And we had, when she got injured against Ohio State, making a hustle play, trying to steal the ball out of the inbounds play, and she almost did it. She banged up her knee, and we thought she might come in maybe second weekend, possibly Final Four if they made it, and just wasn't in the cards, but she did get in the last minute when Caitlin came out to a standing ovation.
Yep, that was nice for her. Wish we could have seen more of her in the tournament, but happy that she was able to get out on the floor one last time and let Hawkeye fans give her some love. Hard to always, it's hard to speculate how things could have turned out differently if they have a healthy Molly Davis for the postseason. Maybe better, maybe worse. You never know. You don't want to say that they could have been worse, but anything could happen with a different stack of cards in the postseason. But nice that she was able to at least get suited up. So happy.
I really don't think it would have made a difference in this game, but I think it might have made a difference in the West Virginia and UConn game. Just having another elite ball handler, being able to withstand the pressures from both of those teams, maybe a little bit, but Iowa won, so it doesn't really matter in the end.
Yep, can't complain too much. So, good for her. Mike, I think we had another soundbite we were going to try to run before we start wrapping up.
Yeah, so this is just Caitlin and Kate again talking about the legacy that they've left on this program.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life is, committing to Coach Bluter and committing to play for the University of Iowa, whether it's, the way our fans have supported me, whether it's been the way I've been able to represent my state where I grew up and I love the game of basketball, whether it's been my family being at every single game. There's not a regret in my mind of how things went. I'll be able to sleep every night even though I never won a national championship. And I think that's the thing about everything I've done is, there's so much to be proud of. I don't sit and sulk about the things that never happened. I just, my mom always taught me, keep your head high, be proud of everything that you accomplished. And, I think I'm still hungry for a lot more, too.
I think our legacy is just kind of the joy that we've brought to, the state of Iowa, to, little boys and little girls all across the country and just people all across the country. I hope they just remember, the love and the passion that we played with out on the court. They're not going to remember every single win, every single loss, but I've said this before, I just, my teammates and everyone else, they're not going to remember how many points I scored every single game, but, I hope they remember how I made them feel, and I hope that's a positive, impact on everyone.
Looks like that, the system skipped for the soundbite, but we almost got through it all.
Yeah. Before we start wrapping up, I'll see if I can turn my camera around just so you can see where we're shooting from here. Got the Final Four floor there in the background. Been here all week in Cleveland. If you're watching on the YouTube stream, can you still see some other TV reporters there just out on the floor wrapping their things up as they sweep the floor from all the confetti that rains down after the game. But yeah, been a fun season. Been a fun 4 seasons covering Caitlin Clark and Kate Martin and these girls. I don't know, hard to put your finger on what you're going to remember the most about them. But I don't know, for me at least, I'd say with Caitlin especially, just I'll always see her as the greatest women's basketball player I think that we'll ever watch. Even though, no title notwithstanding, not every great player can win a title or has that in the cards for them, but just still somebody who changed the game on and off the court and just made her teammates and everybody around her better every single day.
I think I'll remember just the popularity, the explosion of the popularity of this game. I've had family members, friends, coworkers who just, I'm shocked that they come up to me and say, "Hey, did you watch the Iowa game last night?" And just growing up and not appreciating women's basketball myself too. I'll include myself, but I feel like the last few years I've really tuned in, and back when Megan Gustafson was in, I really started watching not every game, but every big game, and just that talking to the water cooler moments where you're talking about women's basketball and the Hawkeyes, and it was a national discussion, national topic, just people talking about it all the time. I feel like Iowa was on GMA and Today Show, and that stuff just doesn't happen, every year, and it's all due to, kind of Caitlin and the team too. I mean, she likes to point that she doesn't do it alone. She can't do it alone, and Lisa Bluter's been able to foster her in a space where she can do all this cool stuff on the court and off the court. So probably what I'll remember. Yep,
most definitely. It's been a fun time covering these gals. Just as somebody who grew up in Iowa, just seeing our state on the nationwide stage has been awesome. But Well, I've got some work to do just to get things in for the show tonight, so we're gonna wrap this up. But we appreciate you joining us for Eye on the Hawks. I'm sure, I don't know if we want to put something else together here in the next week. I've still got to drive back to Iowa the next day, and I need to take a few days off here after working for about the last 12 days straight. So it feels like. So anyway,
my initial thought process is we might take a week or two off, and we'll definitely come back with a spring football episode on 420, because that's when the game is, or the practice. And 420. We'll probably do that. I don't know if we're gonna have like a season wrap on this. Probably not, but we'll put some content out. Especially, I'm assuming they're gonna come back to a crowd of fans. So we'll put that on the YouTube page. Again, you want some more coverage, even though they lost. We'll have a lot of coverage from Cleveland with Owen and Curtis Fader on Iowa's News Now at 9 and 10, and that's what Owen has to go work on right now.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us here on the YouTube channel or wherever you're watching us. Continue to keep following Eye on the Hawks and Iowa's News Now through all the social media that you can find: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. We've got a lot of great YouTube videos out there that we've been posting all week, and we'll have a few more tonight that we'll get a chance to throw out there. So thanks again for watching. From Owen Sebring here in Cleveland to Mike Howell back in the studio. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.